Welcome to the Reality Revolution. Today we got Brian Larson back again, and I'm excited because last time, if you get a chance to watch that interview, something happened in the middle of it, and we had some really cool conversations. Probably about 45 minutes of that interview didn't get recorded. And then we went back and we tried to re-record but that never works. You can't re-record a conversation. So if anybody has listened to anything other than interviews on my channel, then you've listened to Metaverse, and that's Brian Larson. This is Brian's music, and it's really awesome to talk to Brian. The music has touched me. It's touched so many people. It's timeless. It's epic. It's infinite. It's incredible. It's spiritual. But on the same level, Brian and I definitely have a bond on so many topics. If you follow, if you're a friend on Facebook and he posts stuff, he's deeply spiritual and brings hardcore knowledge beyond just the music. So there's so many things we can talk about. Last time, I don't think it ended up in the interview, was the alien event, or it wasn't the same the way you described it. I definitely want to talk about that. We can talk about what is the concept of wanderers, because you've mentioned that, and we can and some of your own philosophies. We'll just let it riff. So welcome to the Reality Revolution, and thank you again for the music so much, man.
Oh yeah, it's I'm so happy and honored to be able to share it with people, and I'm astounded by the response it's been getting. I'm really, I'm so grateful. It's what I've always wanted to share music, and in my old format was a little different, a little more structured pop songs, rock and roll songs, but then after my whole, a dark night of the soul, spiritual awakening, whatever you want to call it, it shifted into this. And then it's like, okay, this is what all that stuff led up to. All that stuff happened for this. So, yeah. But
what is amazing about your music is, as you explained last time, that you can see the colors of music.
Yeah.
So there's a synesthesia that's occurring with you. And in particular for meditation music, if people listen to the music and they wonder, why does that resonate so much? Because you can see it.
Yeah.
There's a visual quality to your music.
Yeah.
And so we had talked about that last time. Tell me a little more about that and how that influences your writing.
Yeah. It's kind of like a painting, and that's what makes the creative process so fun. I sit with the keyboard and I come up with sounds, and, I find samples, and I just kind of like assemble things until the colors start to match and the textures start to match. It's like everything has color, shape, and texture. And it just kind of, it's like a three-dimensional painting, sort of.
So are you writing with your eyes closed, or do you see it? I mean, how does visually? I just ask as an NLPer, when you're in the creative process, is it like an image that you're playing with, or is it one that you've always had that you're trying to reenact, or you're creating it on the fly?
It's sort of on the no, it does. It's sort of on the fly. It's like, it's in my mind's eye. So it's like really real to me. It's not maybe visually like with your eyes. It's not like you can see it with your eyes, but it's in your mind's eye.
Right.
So it seems.
Do you have songs that you see that you haven't got down yet, that you're going to come back around to, that you remember them by like visual?
Yes. There are some really weird, there's some weird things, like, I'll be thinking about, I'll be playing with the idea of like, oh, I want to use this instrument, or I want to introduce this element into a song. And I just kind of put it on the back shelf. And then all of a sudden something happens where, I find access to this instrument. I find out something happens where it all just like comes together. And it just, it's like I put that idea out there, and then it comes back to me when it's supposed to come back to me.
It's amazing.
It's weird.
It reminds me when I first started getting into painting,
Yeah.
And the whole world just becomes different, because
Yeah.
when I see the tree now, I'm looking at the texture of the green and the shadow that's coming off the light. It's a
Yeah.
different experience. It's everything is wonderful to me. The pictures of the rocks, when
Yeah.
before it was just kind of a part of the background. And so
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
thinking about
Yeah.
it from a musical version. Every sound becomes a weapon that you can use for your in your arsenal, or use other terms for it, like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so you start experiment. So how much do you play around, just as this personal unrelated question, with
Yeah.
playing stuff backwards?
Oh yeah. So you heard some of that. Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm
Um,
really, really big into that. I've
okay.
experimented, and
Sure.
then sometimes it becomes this entirely different thing. So I wanted to get
Mhm.
your take on that.
I do play things backwards when I'm going transitioning from segment to segment within a song. Sometimes it'll be nice to kind of throw in a little backwards
Right.
variation of a sample or of a keyboard part. Um, so I love doing that stuff. And then I
Yeah.
have this tool that actually can stretch any audio file. Is it can stretch it 800 times if
Hmm.
you wanted to. So I'll have one song I recorded my daughter's little musical seahorse.
All
It's
right.
like a
Right.
little knight that played lullabies.
Right.
I
Right.
recorded it and I stretched it like 100 times.
Uh-huh.
It turned into this really heavenly kind of melody, where
Yeah.
it was like, oh my gosh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. See, and
So
if I the other day I recorded just the crickets,
yeah,
and then drew
yeah,
out the cricket sound, and it
yeah,
was so the whole time, if they're listening at a different rate of speed, there's symphonies outside that we don't even know about. They're playing
right.
to each other, these and, right.
It's exactly it. It's amazing.
So
Yeah,
a
it's
lot
really
of
amazing.
time is an element. So music becomes a almost a geometric structure of the universe. And so a
Yes.
lot of people say,
Yep.
hey, they don't know how to blend that spirituality, and music is spirituality. It is
It is.
at its very core pulling you into the moment,
Yep.
and
Yep.
which is so and it saved your life, right? So
It did. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I see. Everything is kind of like frozen music or frozen light. Solid.
Everything,
Solid.
music is light.
Yeah. Music is
It's a
light, and
vibrating
and
light, right?
and our density, if you will, our solid state is frozen music
Right.
in a way, I guess.
I mean, basically, there's 7 octaves, and
Yeah.
we're going through octaves just like we are going through densities,
Yeah.
the similarity, the arrangement. So it's like a
Yep.
lot of times what I mentioned, the craziest thing, of course, as I'm playing music for my meditations, I experiment with your music,
Yeah.
and it's I can take one of your songs and I can drop almost any of your other songs in the middle at any point in time
Yeah.
and
I
play it at the
noticed that.
same time, and
Yeah.
then it sounds like it's another song that was meant to be in that form. I can drop a
I,
third song, and it's because you have this structure. It's like a
yeah.
lock and a key. Like you use stuff like the language of light, but there's something
Yeah.
going on there. There's a coordination with those elements that is timeless, man.
That's awesome to hear. I mean, I'm amazed.
Does that make sense?
when
Do you understand
it,
what I'm trying to
it
say?
does make sense.
Yeah.
It does make sense. And when I hear your work and I hear the way you combine the music, I'm like, how did he? That's just amazing because
On this
it's
last one that I've reused a couple times,
yeah,
I have no idea where that came from. It felt like
yeah,
it came from somewhere else. Like
yeah, yeah,
sometimes with your music and my meditations, I feel like I was meant to hear your music and
yeah.
use your music for a purpose.
Yep.
Like that your music has a higher purpose beyond just the vibe and the joy of it. That
Right.
has a particular purpose in helping people raise their frequency on all levels. Do you get
Yeah.
that feeling? Yeah. And
That's
so
that's what it's all about for me.
right.
That's why I'm here. That's why I do it.
Right.
Is
So I
'cause-
wanted to, I don't know why, but
yeah,
we've talked about it and you mentioned it. You have this idea and you mentioned in your videos,
yeah,
you don't feel like you're supposed to be here. Like you're here,
right,
but it's like you don't feel
yeah,
like you feel like you're supposed to be from somewhere else. I wanted to
yeah,
get your perspective of that because I resonate with that. I think a lot of people
yeah.
listening to the channel do.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
I've always felt that, like since I
Mhm.
was a kid. I thought, well, okay, I'm here. This whole place is weird. It just always felt foreign. It felt even now.
Right.
I see the way sometimes in the working world, in the business world. I see some of that, and I'm like,
Hmm.
for a while, I was really just frustrated and kind of full of angst and like, why do you have to be that way?
Right.
And now I kind of find a sort of a calm, accepting kind of humor to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like not like, oh, I'm here, I'm gonna, just go by the status quo now and just
Right.
go along to get along. But now I kind of realize why I'm here, and I just kind of like, it's like we're part of a simulation in a way,
Yeah.
for lack of a better word, and I know that's a really impersonal sort of
We
term,
are.
but
I agree with
you
that.
know, but I've always felt I was from just somewhere else. I don't know, like, I've always thought about doing like past life regressions or whatever,
Yeah.
but I've been curious, but at the same time, there's sort of
There's a
that.
fear.
Well, there's that kind of, I guess maybe that skeptical side where I'm like, I know it's real,
Right.
but then how can I be sure it's real? So
For
then,
me, it's like there's a part of me that said, well, I forgot for a reason. There's a part of
yeah,
me that knows that I forgot for a reason. And so
yes,
me going back, I think goes against what I did. I purposely came here to forget. I've had the
right.
same thing. I have a past life regression episode. So,
Oh yeah,
uh,
yeah.
but I have not done my own meditation.
Yep.
I've done that, and I've gone, I don't know why. I think there's a part of me that's saying it'll not right now. It's not important. You have some other stuff that's more important for you to be doing. You
Yep.
don't need to worry about that.
I'm exactly that way, because I don't
Right.
feel it's like really pressing, and I kind of
Right.
feel that I just feel directly connected to source or creator or the
When
divine
did you
field.
feel
I
like
just
the things were changing, like your environment, the people you were meeting, the world? You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like the planet itself. When did you start to feel there's something changing?
Oh boy. I think it kind of started, like, I've always been curious about sort of the paranormal and the, UFOs. I remember as a kid watching X-Files, and,
Right.
and then it started to evolve, and I started to listen to different podcasts and learn about,
Hmm.
different, military insiders who are saying, hey, this is real. And
Hmm.
and then I kind of went through down deep in the rabbit hole for years, just deep,
Oh yeah,
deep.
because
And
it is easy to do, right?
oh my gosh, it was wild. And then I think 2010, I started to. There was a part of me that I just was afraid to face a certain part of me,
Hmm.
and so I started drinking heavily,
Right.
and turned to substance abuse, and during that whole process, it was like I was breaking down. Everything was sort of breaking down,
Hmm.
But then I started to watch myself go through that breakdown,
Hmm.
and it was weird. It was like, I remember one night, it was so bad. It's like I just kind of all of a sudden separated into the awareness and Brian going through this problem.
At the same time.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
and it was I think it was a really tough, and I don't know if I want to call it an awakening, because that's kind of a broad term.
It is.
And
It is
but I for lack of a better term, I'll call it sort of a spiritual
a
awakening.
change.
A change. Yeah, I think
At
that's,
least we can call it that.
yeah,
Right.
change is less presumptuous, I guess.
Right.
I could call it a spiritual awakening too, but it was definitely a change. And then I went through the process of becoming sober, and that was a tough journey.
Hmm.
But then I had my son, and then I got sober,
Hmm.
and I'm about 5 years now. But then once I
Amazing.
once I got sober, that's when, like, things started to kind of stabilize.
Right.
Like, when I was using, it was like this sort of hypermanic spirituality, and mixed with depression, and mixed with
Right.
super. It was really kind of a scary roller coaster ride.
Yeah,
Because
I
I
mean, when I was
knew,
it's been 2 years for me. When I was
yeah,
drinking, I
okay,
was
yeah,
still meditating when I was drinking. I
yeah,
was like, I was there a
yep,
separate part of me over here. I'm like,
yep,
yeah, I'm still think I'm spiritually like this, but there's a huge change when
yeah,
you decide
yeah.
to. For me, it was a physical.
Yeah, yep,
Yeah,
yeah, definitely. And I thought for a long time, I was like, well, I'll just turn to cannabis, and uh, and that was, I thought, oh, this is great. I'm high and I feel
right,
really spiritual, and I don't want to knock it, because I think there are people out there who enjoy it, and I don't
right.
definitely don't want to sound like a teetotaler or anything, but for me, I had to just cut all that out.
Mhm.
And now it's like I feel like this, like a natural high, you know, where
Yeah.
it's like that's possible. I never thought that was possible, being sober and feeling high.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah,
I explain it like it's like when you used to drink and you'd get that perfect buzz and then you
yeah,
try to carry that buzz, right? The first
yes,
mistake, you
yeah.
always try to keep the buzz because you hit that perfect little buzz, and then you try to keep it and then it's straight downhill, right?
You go
You can
over the,
reach the feeling of the perfect buzz
yep,
when you're truly sober
yeah,
and with certain, you know, when you reach a certain state.
yep,
And that's the thing I tell
absolutely.
people, you know, that it is, that's that perfect buzz. We all want that perfect buzz deep down. We
It
all
is.
want that. And so some people find it through sobriety. It's one of those
And
things. So
yeah, and I think it makes me wonder, like, why, what's in us that makes us want that? Is it something that we remember in a
yes, I
different
think that we
natural, is that our
remember a certain
natural
state of
state?
bliss that
Yes.
we're not experiencing now.
Yeah, and we lose touch with that. We are currently, you know, temporarily separated from source.
Now, you had
And
mentioned something, Dolores Cannon. I mentioned on another episode. She's an old hypnotherapist, and she would
yep.
do past life regressions. And she started getting, if you've gone down the rabbit hole, you've read
Oh
some of
yeah.
her books.
Oh
She
yeah.
has
Yep. I have some of
Convoluted
her
Universe
books.
and some really interesting. She's out of
Yep.
nowhere talked to people in her deep past life regressions that are from
Mhm.
other planets,
Yep.
and then a lot of the stuff would intermix. And she has recordings of other people saying this, but they would all be consistent,
Hmm.
all the
Yeah.
stories that she was getting. It wasn't like they contradicted or people were just sitting there making it up. They
Right.
were all consistent. It all built into this overall mythology.
Yeah.
And she
Yeah.
says that several people in the higher densities or in a higher plane of existence came back
Yep.
to help raise the vibration of this planet. And I
Yeah.
think I made a comment on Facebook. So, and you said you believe you're in the second group now. And on the
Yeah.
first group, it was like in the 60s or 70s, and then the second group, people are kind of like, it doesn't sound like that we're superheroes, or I say we're because sometimes I think it's
Yeah.
we, or sometimes
Yeah.
I don't. Like today, I was thinking maybe it's just that I'm being raised by the all of the wonders that are around us. Like, how could I know?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
there's a part of me that says it doesn't matter if I am or not. It's not like a part of my
Exactly.
identity, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But I feel
Yeah.
like an affinity to the idea. If there are wonders, how awesome that is, you know?
Oh
So
my gosh. Yeah. It's really fun to consider.
it's fun to
Um,
think about. Yeah.
and I kind of have, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I don't find it's super important for me to know for sure whether I'm
Right.
second
It's
wave
not
or
my
whatever. But
identity,
right.
but I resonate with the information. There's something interesting about that. That's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. And I think as far as like identity, where I've landed or where I am right now is just there's kind of uh, this sort of lack of identity, sort of identity,
Right.
like just that, you know, it's just so hard to put into words, you know. It's
Yeah.
just
When
that
the true
empty
our true
awareness.
identity is no identity. That's our
It's
true
no
identity.
it Yeah, exactly. And
Right.
once you start to learn that, then there's really no words to
Right.
describe it. I mean, there's so many different ways
And
to
if you,
try
it's
to.
almost like if there's a group of living two-dimensional beings on a piece of paper, and
Yeah.
you see
Yeah.
that they might
Yeah.
go three-dimensional. They look like they're about to become like create solid and move up in mass.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll go back and be second dimensional for a little bit, and I'll try to help people push people up. Does that
I,
analogy make?
I think it is.
I think it's
I
like
think,
that crazy of a sacrifice to go back
yeah.
to not just people think of it, oh, it's similar to where we're at. No,
Yeah.
you're talking about a different dimension that they're
Right.
coming back from. So imagine if that you'd have to go back to a second for us to understand that.
Yep. Yeah. That's exactly it. And I do think there's sort of a you know, I think there's like a vibrational density, and this is where music comes in too, is because
Right.
everything's frequency.
Right.
And I think um, other aspects, other dimensions, if you will, other frequency levels are
Mhm.
all around us. And
Right.
I think that includes what people refer to as sort of an ascension, or
Right.
you know, the upcoming sort of ascension that a lot of people talk about. And I was always like, okay, yeah, that intuitively feels like, yeah, that there's
It
something.
does.
I always knew that. I just wasn't able to put my finger on it.
Right.
Um, but then I think for me, the best way I can make sense of all that stuff that's so mysterious and so
Hmm.
out there is just make music and raise
Right.
vibrations. You know, it's like it's like I was way out there and just like went down the
Right.
rabbit hole, and now I'm like, you know what? Okay, just be, just
Right.
be. I am like your meditation today, which was
Right.
great, and that's, you know, and just write music and just be you and just be,
Yeah.
you know, try to raise vibrations and
Go
try to,
back to what feels right, feels
yeah,
good. Don't
yeah.
let it overwhelm you, because it can, all that stuff for some
Yeah.
people can be
Oh
kind of
man,
overwhelming. So
it
you
was,
actually
yeah,
have seen a UFO. So this time I want to get like a lot more detail, and we'll talk about that. So
yeah,
tell me your
yeah.
story again.
Okay, okay. So busy. You know, I drink
Oh yeah,
LaCroix like it's going out of style.
That's
Um,
straight Minnesota right there, man.
oh, it's the best. It's the best. I'm all Minnesota boy.
That's
That
right.
tater tot hot dish.
Oh yeah,
Um,
my sister lives in, or lived in, Little Canada. I think she's right around there. So
oh, right.
yeah,
Yeah, awesome.
you
Yeah.
got it.
Okay.
It's
So,
cold there right now, right?
oh my gosh, it's freezing,
Yeah, yeah.
and I've got my whole like makeshift studio downstairs. You
Oh,
know,
it's in the basement. So
yeah, it's in the
oh,
basement,
okay,
so it's nice cold, but I like it. It keeps me alert.
right.
So,
That's cool.
um, so yeah, we were so I was driving my a person. I should probably check with them to see if it's okay to start to talk about them
Right, right.
being
No,
with
it's
me.
cool.
But they had some pretty high level security clearance
Mhm.
back in the day, and a person I'm you know, pretty close to, and we were driving down highway 169,
Mhm.
and we crossed over the Mississippi,
Mhm.
and he looked off into the you know, into over the water, and he's like, hey, that's weird, those helicopters are flying kind of low, and
Mhm.
they were like three sort of amber lights just kind of hovering there, and I'm like, yeah, that's bizarre. And then the more I was trying to drive, but the more he looked at it, the more he's like, those, I don't think those are helicopters.
Oh wow.
they and so it was like a triangular formation, three amber lights. And so I pulled over
Mhm.
and to get a closer look. And once we were in the parking lot, kind of on the shore or the bank of the river, and then I looked up and they were just three amber orbs. Uh,
Orbs.
Orbs, yeah, just trying in a
Uh-huh.
triangular formation. He seems to think that it was like a delta, like a TR3B kind of thing.
Right.
But I
A
seen,
formation.
yeah, a formation, but I thought, well, maybe they're just three orbs in a form. I don't know,
Right.
but it was the most bizarre thing. It was like it was like time stood still, and they were
When was
just
this?
boy, this was 10, no, this was over 10 years ago.
Over 10 years ago? And
Yeah.
where?
Right in Anoka, right over Mississippi River.
Mississippi River. Okay.
Yeah, Anoka and Anoka and Champlin.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then, you
How
know,
late
at
at
the,
night? Was it how late at night?
boy, it was about probably
So
9:30.
it's
It was
so
like,
yeah, okay.
yeah, it was actually in November. It was like, you know, this month, you know, it was like
And
end of
was it
November or something like
moving
that.
or stationary when you saw the
Um,
orb?
it was stationary for a while. My
Uh-huh.
cat is
No, it's
playing
cool. Hey,
with
we
a
love
pop
it.
can. We say pop here.
I I remember Pop. I remember. So,
um, yeah, so it was just hovering there, and then when we stopped and looked at it, it started to kind of raise,
uh-huh.
and just each light just sort of flickered out, and it just was gone.
Oh.
And and then but at that time I was doing enough research where I'm like, oh, I've heard of MUFON. Yeah,
Mhm.
okay, I'll report this to MUFON and
Right.
see what happens. And so I reported it. It's probably in their record
Uh-huh.
database. But then, so I got a call from an investigator. We met with him,
Oh, wow.
and
What was
then
that like?
oh that
How did they act? Would
oh
they act
boy,
like it was a normal thing, or?
normal thing. But he said that these kind of sightings around water are really interesting,
Uh-huh.
and especially like I think that the three, that triangular amber orbs. That's a pretty common thing.
Oh yeah.
And then so it was a great meeting. I mean, but he told me, like, man, you'd be amazed at the things that I hear from people. And then I got a different call from somebody from Bigelow Aerospace, which they, at the time, they had like this, what was it? The Advanced Aerospace Research something.
That's a billionaire that owns, there's like he's also into like UFOs, right? From Bigelow?
Robert Bigelow.
He was on 60 Minutes, right? Yep. He makes the blow up things he's selling for like space habitats.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. So I thought it was fascinating. I recently just checked with the investigator from there where he's at now. He left Bigelow and is somewhere else. I thought about getting a hold of him and asking him a little more in detail, but so then they were like, yeah, we're really interested in this, probably because of the person I was with. Has some stories of his own about finding certain files in a filing cabinet that he had to be debriefed on. And
oh wow,
yeah, it's just crazy.
So the law of one, I think you heard my episode on that. So the law of one, in the law of one, Ross says when they ask him that they talk about the wanderers are more likely in some cases to see unidentified flying objects. Would they these kind of situations, and it's the purpose is to raise your vibration, to make you aware of infinite, like so it's interesting that you had that happen. And sometimes that's they ask, well, why would they show up? It's just because by them showing up in your near area.
It's a total consciousness thing. I think
that's the thing that people are missing in their science fiction world, is that space is consciousness.
It is
all of it. The galaxies are consciousness. The suns are living thinking beings. We wonder if there are these mighty gods. We see them in the skies, the sun and the moon, and so we are not considering it. We just look at the science. We're not considering it. What's really going on?
I saw some article. Yeah, I saw some article by, what is it, Science something, some sort of mainstream science publication, and they were like, "We're searching for the thing that holds everything together, whether it be dark matter or whatever." And I'm just like, you guys, come on, it's consciousness. There, I solved it for you. Take the day off.
If we are truly all one thought, if there is one infinite, one creator, then we're not figuring that in to the science. We're not figuring that into the science.
And that's and ufology, that's become a very sort of nuts and bolts. Well, it was a lot more nuts and bolts 10, 15 years ago, but now people are finding out that graduate level ufology is studying consciousness. That's what it's all about.
Which I don't know if the law of one is correct. I'm always hesitant to accept anything like the wing makers, but I don't know why, but it's information I want to have. I want to be able to have the information so that I can choose to evaluate it, because it does feel like we're on a larger playing field. Like we live for such short periods of time that we are working on a larger playing, something bigger is going on, so much more than we can understand as ants in all of this, right?
Exactly. And what I think, this is one idea, I guess, just something that I've thought about, is that maybe right now in this flesh and blood reality, we're just one aspect of who we are in other aspects higher above. So we're just like an echo or a shadow of other aspects of us that are,
I've had that thought
much
too,
higher above.
that we don't understand that we think of it as a locality, but like if we're talking about dimensions, then we could be, right?
We could be, whether it be spatial dimensions or vibrational densities or
so one of those dimensions has to be time. So there has to be a version of us at some point that transcends time, and naturally we would be able to look back and want to help ourselves, but we wouldn't force it on ourselves, right? We would be like, if you want help, if you have free will, I remember how it went, I'll help you.
That's exactly
So
it. It's kind of like
do you ever feel like you're interacting with some other being that is you from with more knowledge from a higher, like a higher
yeah. Oh
self, like I'm
yeah.
talking about? So tell me about your
Oh yeah.
experience with higher self. And it's a tough
Yeah.
question. Just what comes to
It
mind when
is.
you have you communicated with the higher self? Is it a thought? What is it for you?
Um, yeah, it's kind of a knowing, like like it's something that you like kind of feel that you. It's sort of a knowing,
Right. It's a
but
security blanket, almost like it's like, everything's okay because
yeah,
somebody else is like, "Ah, I don't, I can't put it into words either."
I think it's the sort of the feeling of sensing presence. You know, sensing a presence around you, and like, um, you know, or like being out in nature and sensing the presence of energies. Maybe it's a sensing the presence of energies
It could be
because
that.
I
Yeah.
because I do, you know, I there's just this sort of knowing where I'm part of some sort of oh my gosh, it's hard to talk about this without sounding like I'm just
No,
making
I
like
want,
these
that's why we
wild.
can talk about this stuff right now. There's people that are watching this comment that are having
Yeah,
similar experiences. This is not just you and I. What you're saying
yeah,
resonates with
yeah,
me. So keep going. It's a, what was it? What were you saying?
yeah. You know, it's just it feels like there's a part of me that's there that I'm part of some sort of uh, some sort of other group.
A collective,
Yeah,
a
exactly.
collective. Right.
And I'm just going based on sort of intuitive knowing,
Hmm.
like um I just, you know, going back to the past life thing, I'm
Right.
like, dude, did I have past lives? Maybe I'm just here, you know, maybe I just am here. Maybe some of them,
Right.
I might have, I might not have. It doesn't matter, I guess, but it just feels like I just am directly tied in with uh kind of a collective group. I
Right.
don't
Well,
know.
that's what Ra is
It's
talking about,
crazy.
the social memory complex.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
as
yeah,
we
yeah,
move through
yeah, yeah.
densities
Yep,
and on some levels,
yep,
the only way and the reason that the negative polarity, the
yep.
service to self, has such a hard time
Hmm.
is that ultimately in the seventh density, you
Hmm.
have to be a social memory complex. So there's probably a
Right,
real point where your soul is like, I'm going to give up a part of me, and that's scary, right? It's like it's
right,
kind of a death. I wonder if it's, am I just giving my memories to the social memory complex, and then it
right.
becomes something. So there's this that's part of the battle or struggle or understanding of what it is when you
Yeah,
give up your consciousness. That's the thought I keep on having. So
yeah, exactly.
like there's
And this,
probably a struggle with your soul. Like, at what point are you going to accept the collective, but you give up a little bit of your awareness and your freedom,
yeah.
right?
Well, I think that's where you know, our ego identity comes in.
Right.
And I think our ego is something that ties us into this three-dimensional reality, this world. It keeps us
Hmm.
kind of grounded in a way, but
Right.
it wants to run the show. And
Right.
then it's almost like when ego fades away, dissolves away, there's only awareness, and there's really
Right.
no beginning. There's really no beginning to where I begin and where I end
Right.
compared to where somebody else begins or ends. There just is,
Right.
and there's just one. There's just one, you know. And
Right.
you know, it reminds me when I was a kid. I remember the movie Powder came out,
Yeah.
um, and the moment when he ran out in the field and got struck by lightning, and then he just disappeared.
Right.
And and seeing the moment where he kind of swayed with the trees, where he
Hmm.
was like one with all that. And I was a kid, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what it's all about. And I didn't really know
Right.
enough. I didn't have a lot of context enough to know. But then I saw that, and that made an impression, because it's like, that is me. Like, that is it.
Swaying with the harmony of infinite. And
Yes.
I do agree that
Yeah.
there is this harmony that when we tap into and we let our ego and our self go,
Yeah.
the longer that I could be there, the better. It's just an incredible thing. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Exactly.
So
And yeah, exactly. And I think, you know, ego can be kind of a valuable tool
yeah.
if we treat it as such, as a tool to be used. So
Right.
yeah, yeah,
Very cool.
yeah.
So going back, it's a question I haven't asked. Do you
Yeah.
have of your songs on your channel?
Mhm.
Do you have a favorite song that you're the most proud of?
Oh man. Oh boy. I don't know. I think like the newer ones.
The Language of
It,
Light. That
yeah, the Language of Light was really fun to make.
yeah,
Kind of with that arpeggiated
yeah.
sound. I'm experimenting with some arpeggio because
I
I've
noticed.
really been into like I remember I was really into Air for a while, that French pop
I remember Air.
electronic
Yeah,
pop band. Yeah, and I've kind of and I want to kind of go into a direction where there's a little more drum rhythm.
right.
But then again, I'm like, I'm trying to establish what the channel's purpose
Right.
is.
I
Because
just
I've
go with whatever your flow is, because remember you
yeah,
got another song, and so
yeah,
it just go with your flow, man. I think that you made some masterpieces.
yeah. Thank you.
Has anybody
Yeah,
ever asked you to soundtrack like a movie or film or anything like that?
I haven't been asked anything like
Okay,
that.
Hollywood, somebody out there is listening to this. I'm telling you right now, I'm not kidding.
Yeah,
Go and look at Return to Source. Is a
yeah. No, that's a
classic
fun.
movie
Yeah,
song, right? Like
yeah.
there's so many great songs that you could make into a soundtrack. That I just think that you like right now. You got some Blade Runner style. You use every
Yeah, love
single
that
style.
stuff.
There's so many different variations that are available with your
Yep.
music. And think about it. There's people that are creating soundtracks that work for 3 years on a soundtrack or
Oh
a
my
year.
gosh, that would be like
Right?
just
And you're
amazing.
creating these every week. That's what
Yeah,
I'm saying is you're creating soundtrack level symphonies every week. Think about that.
yeah.
This is just a channel that you just come across, and then it's not your normal meditation channel. It's amazing, dude, what you're doing. So, I
I'm
mean,
I'm
once a
humbled.
week is huge production. So,
Yeah,
is there an instrument that you want to like add in or figure in that you kind of have that your eyes on that you want to maybe figure in?
sure. I so recently I invested in some plugins. So because I'm using my synth with the Contact platform,
Right.
and so I invested in some plugins. One of them is a really realistic sounding strings
Right.
ensemble, and then I also invested in a really cool piano with some piano plugin, and then
I've heard
harmonium.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and one thing I might actually get is a steel drum, like a
Right.
tank drum. I was looking at some different brands, and like there's a lot of people
Yeah.
that are selling it. I'm like, I just want to bang on that thing and
Oh
like just
man,
do it. I
I'd like
love
to see
that.
Brian in Guitar Center, man. One of those big ones,
Oh, dude, yeah, that would be so awesome.
Yeah.
But and I think I don't know. It's just I was talking to a friend, an old
Uh-huh.
friend who was a musician buddy yesterday,
Hmm.
and he was kind of giving me ideas too, like different kinds of
So
effects.
you have a Patreon account. I put it in almost all my videos. So you guys need
Oh
to hook
yeah,
Brian up, man.
yeah.
You guys need to hook him up so he can get some new instruments so you guys can meditate with killer tunes, man.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's another thing. I really want to build out the Patreon channel too, and I want to offer some things. I've got a lot of ideas. I
Well,
really
we can
want
offer
to.
some of the soundtracks I've sent to you that I've done for the
Yes.
meditation. You could offer those as extras for Patreon members.
Oh my gosh, that would
Right? Because
be amazing.
I
Yeah,
think you should do that. I've sent you a couple. I can send you whenever
I
you want a
love
soundtrack.
those,
Because yeah,
dude. Those are.
because
It's just amazing.
the great thing is I want to. Your music's so good. I don't want to just play
Yeah.
one song. So I find myself sampling all of them because there's so many good ones. It's it's a hard choice. So many
Well,
good ones.
I mean, there's like some songs that I've kind of put in the back of my head, and then I listened to you playing one of them in one of your
Right.
videos, and I'm like, this sounds so much cooler with like a narration and a meditation going, and
Yeah.
like the Blade Runner one. I love that you
Yeah.
used that one, and I'm like,
That is such a
oh, this
perfect
gives it
song.
a
I use it all
whole
the
different.
time.
Yeah, I'm like, this
Yeah.
gives this song a whole different dimension.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah,
And you use sounds and background sounds. It just adds to the sharpness.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
it's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool stuff. So
yeah.
there's some songs. Is there any songs that I might have not played that you thought, he should probably play that one on a meditation? Because you have like 100,
Sure.
how many, like 100 songs?
Right now there are, boy, I have 50. like 55. I think.
55. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's
So,
I want to,
yeah.
and I've listened to all the songs. A
Yeah.
couple of them just maybe once. There's that one that I want to play that has pretty heavy drums that you did early on. It's just
Yes.
awesome
Oh,
with
I love
backwards
that.
sounding guitar thrown out. You can hear it.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
good, man. And I
Yep.
should have put it on the walking meditation. That one is so good. Did you have any others that I might? The
Right.
throat chakra one is such a classic when you go back and listen to that. The inspiring creativity one,
That's
768.
right.
It's amazing when
Yeah.
you really found something there. So
Yeah,
um,
that was and I remember I sent you one
right. I'm still waiting
idea,
to see that.
and I
You're
know I
still
got to
working on it,
finish that
right?
one because
Yeah.
when you mentioned a walking meditation, that's what inspired it. I'm like,
Right.
okay, I'm gonna, and then so I found I just kind of combined some sounds and created some.
What we should do is we'll one of these days, we won't just put it on YouTube. We'll make it special, and I'll send you a meditation, the audio
Yeah,
portion, and then you can
yeah.
soundtrack my meditation
Oh
if
my
you want
gosh,
to. I'll
that'd be
send it to
awesome.
you, and then you'll know the spacing of the
Yeah,
timing of it, and then you could like do whatever you want. We can see if
dude,
we can do something like that. I think that'd be cool.
I'm all about
What I
that.
really want to do is create somewhere just a website or create a channel that
Yeah,
Reality Revolution in the metaverse, and then we could play like meditations and then your songs like a radio channel
yeah.
like Sirius. So when you tune in, you'll get interviews, but then you'll also get straight metaverse tunes as a channel. I thought
It's
I just
it's
and
it's
anybody else we can think of that can add to that meditation, I think would be the coolest idea.
it's crazy that you mentioned that because that's exactly what I'm thinking about. Like,
Right.
and I'm
So
you know
you got a partner here, and we could definitely I'll contribute, and we could find people like mind. But you have so many
yeah
songs to have it on in a channel format. Something
yeah
whenever I click on it might be in the middle or past, but it's like I'm listening to the radio. Something if I was on Sirius XM, I could bust on, and it would be like a combination of meditation music, but
yes.
also some talk shows and interviews and meditations and
Oh
guided
my
meditation.
gosh,
I think it would be
that
awesome.
oh my gosh, that's just talk about coincidence. I mean,
Yeah.
that's crazy because
All right.
that I've been thinking next steps, and I think one thing I'm working on right now is
Mm-hmm.
I want to start streaming on YouTube. Just do a
24-hour
24/7
streaming
Yeah,
channel.
just a streaming channel of just just kind of throw in some mixes and just let it stream.
Heck yeah.
And but that's the thing. I want to have some
We
sort
have
of
all those soundtracks that I've done I've saved a soundtrack for every episode that
yeah.
I've used your music for. So
Yep.
we can use all of that. You know what I mean?
That would be amazing. And also, I mean, there's other artists out there that
Absolutely, yeah.
just absolutely blow my mind. I mean, I know that a lot of artists out there that I started to listen to before I started creating this stuff. It was just so inspirational.
Right.
And it would be a cool way to give them a platform.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
get access to hang out with some of these guys because there's some
Oh,
really
yeah.
cool. Yeah. You got my
Yeah.
last time you won the award for best meditation music. You got my albums, and some of those were
Yeah.
where I thought you might not have heard. So you heard like what was this? I sent you. There's a soundtrack that I mentioned to you with the movie with Tom Cruise. Which one did I send?
Oh
you?
yeah.
It's
It's
the movie
not
Oblivion
Oblivion,
soundtrack.
yeah.
Did
Okay,
you get a
yeah.
chance to hear Oblivion?
I did
All right.
hear
Did
it. I have heard it. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Do you hear me? We
Okay.
froze up
Yeah.
there for a
Oh,
second.
weird. It muted here. Wait.
I
Okay,
still
there
hear
we go.
everything. We're good.
You do. Okay. Okay.
So yeah, I
Oblivion is
tried to
good.
send you some with the same vibe like you like. So
And then once
Eh,
you sent over, you sent Stars of the Lid, and I'm like,
Stars of the
dude,
Lid is.
I'm like,
that's what I was going to say. Stars of
yeah.
the Lid. I'm a huge fan of Stars of the
Like-
Lid. Do you know anything about those guys? They put out these crazy like albums that are some of them are completely insane. But I've always wondered like behind the scenes what it's like. It got a Daniel Johnston vibe almost.
Yeah.
don't know.
Oh my
Do you
gosh.
understand
Daniel
what I'm saying?
Johnston. Yeah.
Even though I'm not saying the music's the same, the energy of it is like
Right.
that.
It
Like,
is. When they first back, I don't think they've made any recent stuff. I don't.
Right.
But when they were sort of making all their music, I really got into that stuff a long time
That
ago.
drone, I guess you'd call it drone. What?
Yeah, ambient drone.
Ambient drone. Yeah.
And I would just listen to that for hours and just while I was sleeping, and it was amazing. And I think that probably helped.
There's some
plant a
influences
seed,
of that. Yeah, that's why
Yeah.
I heard a little bit of that in your ears, but more because you have so
Mhm.
much other stuff going on. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So it's for me, it's an exploration process. It's a learning process. And I just, it's just I like the idea of doing a song a week. I'd like to do more eventually.
Right.
But what I love is just that treating it as sort of a stream of consciousness,
Hmm.
like this is coming together here and now, and it's kind of like like a quick impressionist painting,
Right.
where it's mulled over, but just enough,
You
where
don't go back and tinker with it a bunch and work on it too much, or sometimes.
yeah, sometimes I do,
Hmm.
but then sometimes I just know that it's meant to be imperfect,
Right.
and that it was capturing the energy of what it was.
Hmm.
And so that's the thing. I try to capture the energy when it's there and create it,
You do. You
so
capture the energy for sure, man.
yeah, cool.
For
Yeah.
sure. It's amazing.
Yeah,
So,
cool.
your meditative practice, you meditate every day? You
Yep.
meditate,
Hmm.
and so do you have a morning routine, or do you meditate in the evening? How do you meditate?
In the evening.
Hmm.
Usually mornings are pretty, I should meditate in the morning actually.
I'm
But
starting to do it more in the evening too. I made
yeah.
it my goal to do it in the morning, but I don't know.
Yeah, I started when I was first starting to get sober. That's when I really started to meditate, and I found a Buddhist monastery
Hmm.
actually right up in the northern burbs,
Oh
in a
yeah.
in a in a little town called Nalden, and it was
Oh
just
yeah.
like this Theravada Buddhist monastery, and they had these meditation classes on Sundays,
Yeah.
and so I started going, and was like, it was amazing.
What kind of meditation?
Just basic mindfulness meditation.
Right.
Where it's kind of the loving kindness. We'd recite the loving kindness, the metta prayer,
Hmm.
which gives metaverse kind of it's a deeper meaning for me. Where we would
Right.
say the loving kindness prayer, and but it was just I learned the basics, and the monks were there, and they would meditate with us, and then they'd bring out just this amazing um, food, and
Yeah.
we'd sit, and eventually I was asked to start leading some meditations,
Wow.
and and that was an honor, and but schedule wise, with two small kids, it's been
Right.
tough to get back there, but my heart's still there,
Right.
and so that helped give me that foundation,
Yeah.
and I do keep up the meditation practice in the evening, but at the
Hmm.
same time, for me, it's kind of just an every moment of every day, kind of just
Right.
checking in with the now, and
Hmm.
so eventually, I mean, there's the practice itself, and then there's just the state of being
You have that.
meditative,
I've had this lately
like
where I don't need to meditate right now. I'm in a state of deep meditation right now. And there's a
exactly,
part of me that says, well, you should be meditating. And it's like, I've been meditating all day long.
yeah, yeah,
Does that make sense? Like,
makes
there's a
total
part of me that
sense.
says, hey, you should be, I don't know. So
There,
there's a state
yeah.
that we're wanting to capture. And sometimes we don't have it. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah,
So,
no, I know exactly what you mean. I think sometimes, yeah, and when I do actually sit down and I just meditate, even if it's just 20 minutes, half hour,
mhm.
um, there's that there is that added benefit of just the perfect stillness, or
Mhm.
just just being in that quiet moment where your
Mhm.
thoughts do their thing and you're watching them, and you don't,
Right.
so it's different kinds of meditation, I think. But yeah, like my day to day is it's just being
Someday I'm going to
now.
put out, it's going to be the perfect guided meditation, and it's going
Yeah.
to be just straight silence. There's going to be
Yeah.
no
No, you know, I was thinking,
someday somebody's going to do that, right?
I
Okay,
was saying,
no,
yeah,
just straight
that should be my
silence for
next
24 minutes.
my next video, my next
I mean,
song should be just
I had a
silence.
beginner meditation, and I thought, I really want to have just silence here, but I
Yeah,
can't. So
yeah,
I just
yeah.
recorded the outside backyard, just
It's
because that was
brilliant.
as close as I could get. But
That's awesome.
I don't
I
know.
love that. Well, and that's what I mean. That's what when you're meditating. I mean, there's always the background noise, and I think I heard this one story of there was this meditation center that was like right on the busy corner in some sort of city, and it was really
Hmm.
loud, and people were like, what, what's going on here? Can you close the door, close the windows or something?
Hmm.
And the meditation instructor was like, no, it's better this way. It's
With the
better.
noise.
Yeah, it's better this way.
Alan Watt had something amazing when he said the beginning parts of meditation is understanding that we name every sound. So we
Yes.
hear every
Yeah.
sound. And
Oh my
so
gosh.
we
Yeah.
have this part of our brain that has to name it. We
Hmm.
hear the car engine go and we say car engine. We hear the plane, we say plane. So
Yep.
if you can reach a point where it's not a name anymore, that's a big lesson for me. The
Yep.
sounds became a
Yep.
part of my lesson. So
Yeah, and then I have to, with names, and then I'm like, okay, don't pay attention to the color of what that is, or the
right.
texture of what that's not a squiggly line going across the the sky, and
Right.
there's a lot of stimuli, yeah,
Right.
and
So we talked last time when you're meditating,
yeah.
what do you see?
Oh boy. Sometimes the visuals I have in my videos,
Yeah, it's similar.
sometimes it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes, but then sometimes it's just you're just kind of like all of a sudden everything is just like you're in this vortex of just emptiness, which
right.
in a good way, in
In
a
a good
good
way.
kind of emptiness.
Right.
And it's kind of like you're bathed in white light, you're just there.
Right.
I remember a few times I'd be meditating, and then all of a sudden I'd be behind myself. I'd be like whoop, and I'd be behind
Oh, wow.
myself, and I'm like, oh, this is new.
So that's okay. Then I have a theory for that because I have an
Yeah.
episode where one of the most scientifically effective meditations. When I looked it
Yeah.
up and I said, what is the scientific, like which ones when they've looked at the brain waves
Yeah. Yeah.
is
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
imagine a presence behind you.
Wow.
You imagine a presence, and I've said that to people just right now. You might have feel a prickle on your back, just
Yeah.
to the comment. So if you can hold it
Dude.
for like 5 to 10 minutes,
Yeah.
and so then the more I read about it, and I started talking to people, they're claiming that their higher self is usually in that location. If you want to identify a physical location, your higher self is usually going to be there. A lot of times, the
Wow.
energies we have coming in are
Yeah.
in the back are not collapsed, more
Okay.
wave than particles. So
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
the part where the matrix is deciding what we want to do, as when we talk about the plat and stuff. So that
Kind of.
behind
Yeah.
us,
Yeah.
all around, I mean, and even you look back and they're not going to be there, right?
Right. Right. Right.
There's
Oh
something
my
going
gosh,
on.
that's crazy.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's so ironic that you said that.
Wow. That's amazing.
Right.
Jeez. Well, and
So
I
you
would.
may have been actually entering into the state of your higher self temporarily when you did that. When you went
Yeah.
backwards, that was you were just becoming higher self in that moment.
That
Just in
might have
that
been.
moment.
That might have been it.
According
Yeah.
to
I mean.
Ra in the Law of One, and it's an exciting idea if it's
Yeah.
true. When we
Yeah.
get to
Yeah.
6.5 density,
Hmm.
an entity becomes 6.5 density. Once you reach that state, you go back in time and you are your higher self for all your previous incarnations. It can be
Okay.
like 7
Yeah.
million years from now, that
Yep.
version of
Yep.
you. And everybody has a 6.5 density higher self.
That I mean, something that would make sense to me. I mean,
Right. That makes sense to me now. I used to not or think the higher self or not understand the concept of it.
it sort of reminds me of the movie Interstellar.
It does. It does.
In
There's
a way,
an aspect of that too.
there sort of is in a
When
way.
he's in
In
the
a way,
black hole, that part a little bit.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah. So
Right.
I don't know. The Interstellar, that was one of those. It was the last movie I saw with my dad before he passed away,
Yeah.
and then and it just has this special meaning to me because I just for a long time I just imagined him on the other side of the bookcase.
Of the bookcase, right.
And there was one time, like about maybe 4 weeks after he passed, that I felt okay, this is weird. I could have sworn it was him tapping me on my shoulder saying,
Oh,
"Go
wow.
get your son, he's crying upstairs." And like it was insane. It's like it was so real. And I literally felt a tap on my shoulder. It was just crazy.
Wow. I don't
Yeah.
doubt it.
It was just nuts.
Right.
So
Your dad was making sure that you were okay.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's amazing.
yeah.
Wow.
But
So
yeah, man.
how does it all work?
Yeah.
Let's ask the deepest question. Like if
Sure.
we wanted to create a model for the universe, we are connected musically
Yeah.
on some level, on vibrational level.
Mhm.
The whole entire universe is like this complicated geometric design
Yeah.
that is so going back, the Big Bang is that a single thought? What is your
It
theory
could be.
on the Big Bang, right?
Right. I wonder, to me, the Big Bang, there's something probably that um, it's an unfolding and a folding back in. It's kind of like
Right.
how a torus kind of goes in and out and in and out.
Right,
It's like
right.
this constant flowing of out breath and in
Right.
breath. And I
That
think
is an inter
yeah, and I think everything we are is everything that is a torus.
oh,
The
wow.
universe is just full of
I had
donuts.
this dream
You know,
because I was with Love One Dream, and I was
yeah,
these once some entities are just so powerful they can't think.
yeah. Oh,
Because
sure.
if they in my dream, that was the thing that I was
Yeah,
there's that if they thought they had a single thought, it would explode into a big bang and it would destroy the universe. So they wait as long
right.
as they possibly can. They become a sun because they're
Yeah,
trying as hard as they can not to think, and then
yeah.
they explode into a black hole where they can finally think freely.
Oh,
That was just a
wow.
dream. I don't think that,
Oh my gosh,
so.
that's awesome.
I don't know, so like they can like use the I don't know what
I
I'm
love dreams. I love dreams
yeah,
like
yeah,
that. I had a
like that.
dream. Yeah, it reminds me. I had a dream once of all these. Okay, this was weird. Like planets had personalities and faces,
Right.
and then all the inhabitants reflected that personality and
Personality,
face.
right.
And it was just weird. It was
Well,
like the visuals of it was just crazy.
yeah, and I think
But
that's what's going on.
yeah,
I think that's
yeah.
what's going on.
Right, and I think that's what what's really interesting about your dream is when a being thinks, and I think this is part of a higher dimensionality is you manifest everything you think,
Everything.
because I think in a sense we're manifesting the world around us.
But it's happening
Um,
faster. That's part of the
yeah,
crash course. So that's why the
exactly.
world is crazier because
It is.
we're our thoughts are becoming things
Yep.
faster and faster.
Right.
And so
Right.
I don't know if I do think it's going to be gradual.
It
So
is.
maybe
Yeah,
in
I
our
think so.
lifetime, it's going to get a little crazier. We might not see the really crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But it feels like it's the beginning.
Yeah.
It feels like it.
It does. It feels. Yeah. I've been since maybe 10 years
Mhm.
reading and learning about ascension and going through the whole 2012.
Right. Well, yeah, the
um,
2012
it-
thing is what Ra is talking about, what Dolores
yeah.
Cannon is talking about. I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a big letdown for a lot of people because they didn't
Right.
understand it.
Didn't understand it, and it was.
It's the beginning of something that's, just how nature works. It's not going to be, we're going to explode into something.
Yeah. It was the best letdown I ever had
Right.
because it was leading up to it. It was like, oh, this something's gonna happen. I don't know, maybe
Right.
not. And then nothing. It just kind of like was just another day. And I'm like,
Right.
now I look back, I'm like, this is amazing. This is all amazing because it's all here now.
Right.
This whole ascension, this whole event, it's all occurring in the present
In
moment,
the
in
present
the
moment,
now,
every moment.
in the infinite potentiality of the now, which is like a Stargate, if you will.
Right.
So
It's like we're a certain kind of light that's been vibrated into a certain kind of density, and then
yeah,
it's changing. The light, the nature of the density in light is changing, and we're
yeah,
just having to deal with it. It's like this thing
right.
that happens. It reminds me of really. Have you ever read the book by Childhood's End by?
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. All
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
Childhood's End. So, and it was
Yeah,
also a movie. So the idea. Arthur Clarke wrote Childhood's End for people that are watching. It's
yeah.
the same guy that wrote 2001.
Mhm.
And so these aliens come down and say, oh, some stuff's about to happen, but everything's good. We're going to take care of you. And then the kids just start transforming and they don't even understand it. They just,
Right.
the planet turns into this thing, right? And they
Yeah.
just take all the humans away, and then and that's how it is. So
Right. But I think ultimately, and this ties into like people who get really wrapped up in, ET coming down and
right,
helping save our world, and just come down and make sense out of
right.
things. But we are that. That's why we're here. We're and once we realize who we really are, like as divine
Right.
aspects of the creator, we're rescuing ourselves. We are that
Right.
ET coming down and rescuing this society.
But there is a powerful negative polarity, like it or
yeah.
not,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is active and
Yep.
effective, and you don't
Yep.
want to get caught up in it, but it's something to consider.
Yeah.
And I want to
think,
see it in everything, because you see people, they go down that path.
yeah,
And
they do.
I'm a
Yeah.
conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
easy to do, right?
It is easy to think, because I was down that rabbit hole too,
Right.
and just how dark, the things that I learned and saw. I'm like, okay, I was for full disclosure of everything that's been going on in this world, but after I saw some and learned about some things, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't think people can handle this.
Yeah.
I really don't.
For
I'm
instance,
oh boy.
oh, it's cool.
Yeah. I think,
Magic or
I think, for instance, just, the Epstein Island, I think.
right, stuff
Would
like
be,
that. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if YouTube is going to flag us for saying certain words, but how dark because a lot of that goes into like this really esoteric occult ritual kind of stuff. Dark occult.
Right.
Occult means just hidden, because
Well,
there
I
can be a
mean,
light
the
side.
law of
but
one is talking about that there is
Yeah.
there's another polarity towards self, and they're
Yeah.
being taught rituals.
Yep.
And so the thing is, I think we can have the same power
Yes.
in dedicating service to others
Yes.
that they do. We just don't know it. It's
Exactly.
our powers are being used against us. If we can come out of and understand that we have the same power, what they're doing is just a ritualized form of creating intelligent infinity. And if we once we understand that, a lot of times it's one person who truly understands that it's none of it's real, and that he's tricking people into allowing intelligent infinity to, right? But that one person is just doing the same thing that we can do on our own right now without having any ritual. Just, it's that simple.
Exactly. We're being tricked into creating our own limited reality.
Right. Because they create we have a reality all around us.
Yeah.
It's reminding us, that this is how it's supposed to be. So,
and once we realize that,
we could have a revolution and completely just change our civilization. We could just completely, we could become like I think that I feel intuitively that there's a battle going on, we have potential to become like this incredible civilization that can move densities much faster than other ones. And they're scared to death if we became rational of our power in our creation. So there's forces that are constantly trying to undermine us and
keep us limited.
Does that make sense, or am I completely insane?
No,
right.
It makes total sense. I think in a way we've been farmed. Humanity has been farmed for our energy.
I hate the term harvest.
Yeah.
Sometimes it has a negative impact. That they use that in Law of One. Now, I heard somebody else say that the channeler, that was a vocabulary she used. She had come from a Christian background. So that when the entity is using the language, they're using the language that she associates with that. So it may not be harvest, but I don't want to be harvested.
No, I know.
Write the word,
And I think that, there are people who say that there literally are other realities, other entities, other energies that actually get their sustenance off of our fear, off of our pain and our turmoil.
Right.
And they
feed
call
off those energies, right?
Yeah, and they call it loosh. That's one thing I've heard.
Right.
And the longer I'm in this whole sort of new way of thinking, the more I'm like, yeah, you know what, that could definitely be a very real possibility. I think there's a high probability,
Right.
you know, that
But all of
there's
that
something
goes
like that
away
happening.
once we have just individuals creating incredible stuff right now. All
Yep.
that people have been thinking that they have some secret.
Right.
That's the whole, it sounds like a system of the negative is to make them think, oh, I'm giving you this special secret power that
Yeah.
nobody else has. But guess
Because
what? Everybody has it.
yes,
And so
and they.
once that starts to happen, everything's going to change.
Yep.
Everything's going to change.
Exactly it. And I don't think, you know, in the negative polarity, I don't think they know how to truly create. They don't know how to
There's no
truly
creativity.
manifest.
Right.
So what they do is they siphon off of who our divine
They take
abilities are
energy from
developed.
others. Right.
Yep.
And they create rituals so that they don't have to find love. They try to
Exactly.
circumvent love and circumvent unity.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
Yep.
the universe, I'm sorry, it's designed to favor those that are in service to others. And
Yeah.
the power of it, that's what I'm saying. The power of it is the same.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely.
And so you came down and said, hey man, if I play some music, maybe I can get people to realize their power. That's all it is. We can just, you can just teach that. I think that the really only thing we can do on this incarnation is to teach
Yep.
people to find their power.
Yeah, and exactly it.
Sense?
That's exactly it. That's because that is the best you know, spiritual advice a person could give is to say, you know what, these answers you're looking for, you know, they're already within you. They're already inside of you. You are more powerful than you could possibly imagine.
You don't need to have Baphomet in your basement. You
don't
you don't.
Exactly.
You just don't.
No.
Somebody is taking away your power by doing that. That you may think you're getting power, but it's being taken away.
They're siphoning off your power, and they're giving you the illusion of some sort of ability or power. It's the illusion of power. It's not true. It's not true source derived.
According to God in the law of one, just the presence of an unconditional love. If somebody feels like they're being loved, one of these negative entities, they lose their polarity, they lose their power, and so they're not going to manipulate with like you and I. And people out there, I have friends that think that there's negative entities, and of course, I have Christian friends that think that demons are in everything. You know what I'm saying?
In that background,
yeah. And so it's easy to do that. It's easy to have this mindset that there is demons. Oh man, Brian, you're bringing up demons when you do yoga every morning. Right. I've heard that. I've heard that
many times.
I've been in that kind of, so, so it's interesting because it's almost like they're using black magic against you when they do that. When they accuse you that, that meditation music, it's just going to bring on the demons.
Yep. It's how voodoo works. You know, it's like you convince somebody to the point where they believe so that 100% that what, and
that creates there's a loop, there's a feedback loop, but it creates the negative entity in some cases. I believe there's these negative entities. If we can find a place of unconditional love that we immediately just banish them away. And it's like we're on the tip of becoming so powerful that the polarities will be irrelevant.
That's right.
So right now the polarities are in control because of money and media. But right now, just do a few meditations, listen to some music, just follow your heart. Link your heart up with your mind, and we can overcome the negative polarity, right?
It's all about the heart. Exactly. And that's exactly it. It's all about being in the heart.
Right.
You know?
No, and when you say that, it's not just the chakra.
Right.
It's more. So when you have a meditation, awakening the energetic heart. So I want to get your perspectives of the heart when we mention that and lining with our heart.
I think it's our singular, our one singular chakra. Because you hear of a chakra system, but
spreads out.
But just who our unity self, our unity. I don't even know how to, because I'm going off of just my intuitive sensing. You know, it's just the energetic heart is kind of the singularity of us. It's like the very core of the torus, that torus of energy that goes around us like this. It's the Stargate in the very center of us. It's
almost like it's God enters. I don't know where he enters, or maybe through our third eye or maybe through our heart, but that's where he ends up. and
Yes,
he's just hanging out, chilling.
exactly.
He's
And
not going to intervene. He's interested, whether good or bad. It's just chilling out,
yeah, yeah, and that's the thing, and
Inside
God,
of us right now, we have the power of God. We're just like, we don't even know it. We're walking around with
yeah,
this super power that's right there. If we just need to like get in contact, it's amazing if people just realize what's inside of them in their
that
heart.
that's exactly it. And I think it's having that power of God inside of us. I think it's we're limited by our vocabulary because I think
Very true. And the
you know
words.
yeah, exactly, and that's such a great way to describe it. And another way to describe it, I think, is that we God is playing hide and seek with himself through us.
Right.
We're like, okay, we're going to forget about our higher aspect for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
It's like hide and seek. God's
Right.
playing peekaboo with himself.
Right.
Like maybe that's why babies are so fascinated by playing peekaboo. It's like,
Right.
it's like it's that temporary separation from the
Right.
whole, temporary separation from the heart of God.
I remember when I was younger and I had written a story. I have to find it, but I keep on coming back to it because it was if God is infinite, truly
Yeah,
infinite, that's
yeah,
a long damn time, right? So there's a point
yeah,
that he might have been like, okay, I give up, man. I'm not
yep,
down. Nobody can kill me. Oh no, I don't
yeah,
know how to stop. I don't know how to end it. I don't know how to end it. Oh, I can
yeah,
just
yeah.
forget for a little while. I can forget for a little while. Maybe I can make
Right.
it so I can stretch it out a little bit longer because I got a lot of time.
Right. It's got to be. Yeah. I
It's
mean,
not
it's fun
time
to
because
think
time
about.
is we're outside of time, but there's
Right.
something about that makes
I think, and that's what I think makes this where we are so beautiful is the mystery of it. Is
the
like
mystery is
thinking,
important. I
yeah,
think that we can
it's
accomplish more with the mystery. Yes.
yeah, it's what helps creativity.
Hmm.
It's why we're here, and I think thinking of these concepts in our own way of trying to figure them out. That's the beauty of it all,
It's fun to play
like
with a poker game. We don't
yeah,
know the cards, and
right,
not knowing the
exactly.
cards is part of it.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly, and it's all part of self discovery,
mhm.
because it's like um, you can't just tell somebody how to awaken spiritually. You
Mhm.
know, you somebody couldn't just tell me when I was going through my struggles because I wasn't able to receive certain things at that
Right.
moment in time, and that's what's so hard because for a long time. I'm such an empath. I take people's feelings on. I
Yeah.
feel exactly what other people are feeling. Um, but then I have to realize that everybody's going through their own personal
Now,
journey.
have you been
Um,
feeling this more and more lately? Like really super
yeah.
empathic. Like if I go to a party, so
Yeah.
now
Oh, yeah.
it's harder for
Yeah.
me because I can feel. I went to the
Yeah.
movies the other day
Yep.
and I was in tears and there was no reason. I clearly knew that I was like I could feel the feelings of everybody in the room.
Yep.
And this is
Yep.
a recent, like in the last a year or 6 months. Am I
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's weird.
No, dude, I mean, that's part of what this is right now, where the raising energies, and it's just people waking up to this, you're waking
Hmm.
up to this, and it's tough for me to be around
Yeah,
crowds, to go in parties. And I think that's why when I was in social settings, I think that's why I started drinking so much
because it
because I'm
was
like, I
you
gotta
could
get away
feel.
from this.
Yeah.
And you know, but
When your
now,
heart is open, it's one of those things. Everything is not perfect. You're open to a
yeah.
whole other world. So yeah.
And when I make this music and I hear and I read comments,
Hmm.
some of the comments just touch me, like just reach into my soul,
Yeah,
and I just want to crawl through that monitor and hug people. I just want to,
I hear
like,
you, man.
and I just want to talk to each and every person commenting and
Yeah,
just give just big cosmic hugs, like, but
yeah,
and that at a certain point I need to realize that I'm limited to, you know, I have my three-dimensional life, and
right.
time is limiting. Um, and that's what gets frustrating sometimes. I
Right.
think for a while, like over the month, I was kind of going through a frustrating period where I'm like,
Hmm.
it's definitely, I'm going through a transition period
Right.
between finding my true passion and wanting to put more time into investing and growing that.
Mhm.
as opposed to practical real life.
So people, we need more people to watch Metaverse so that Brian can make more music and have more time to do it.
Yeah.
That's all. Just watch his videos.
Yeah,
Listen,
just watch it. And
Yeah,
I'm
it's
always
all
going to
good.
offer my music for free too.
Yeah. So
And that's the thing. If somebody wants to pay, that's great, but
and
I
we'll
don't ever
be
want people to
offering
feel-
some meditations on my website that you can get and for that are yours. I'm sure we can figure out a way to do that. And you have some music coming out soon.
Yeah.
And we had talked already about wanting to do a retreat, and we were going to combine so that you could play some music, I could do some meditations and some teachings. We'll see if we can gather some more, but we've had the beginnings of this, and I'm super excited about it. I think that we could have fun, maybe find a cool location, and we can really get in touch deep with our souls and figure out our best path and how we can improve the world and find our inner bliss, man. In so many different ways we can do this.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, I think
I'm
we can do it.
all about that.
All right. So it's for sure. It's going to happen for sure now.
It will.
So in this, we've already created in this wonderful interview, we've created a channel. We have a retreat coming. We're going to start offering some different meditations, and it's very exciting. Thank you so much for the opportunity to let me work with some of your music.
Oh,
and I speak for everybody. Thank you so much for helping us find that moment, to help us find that place, to help us connect to that higher place that we all are striving to go back to in many different ways.
I'm just happy to be of service. And
thank you, man. Appreciate it. So we will do this again soon when you have an album come out. But that Sounds time, good. I think we made it a more legit interview. And,
I know. It all recorded, right?
It all recorded. We're good to go.
Awesome.
All right, man. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Oh, man.